This is your before and after story. Prepare for an incredible career in nursing. At Southeastern College, experience expert hands-on training. Learn real-world skills in our professional lab and simulated settings. And train for opportunities as a practical nurse, registered nurse, or career advancement with our RN to BSN program. At Southeastern College, your future is bright. Visit sac.edu to get started.
Are you ready, kids? Get your parents' permission, check your mailbox, and grab your shopping cart. It's time for the Adventures in Collecting podcast.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Dave. Welcome to Adventures in Collecting, where we talk toy news, culture, and hauls,
along with our journeys as collectors. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Adventures in Collecting. I am here with the Todd father himself, Todd McFarlane. We are here at New York Toy Fair. It's good to be back. This is a special room for us here. This is the first time we were met, was back in 2020.
Yeah, Toy Fair comes every year, although they had a weird sort of 18-month gap that was there, but this event is where my toy company began all the way back at that first Toy Fair in 1994.
Yeah.
Right? But you weren't at the Javits Center, you were downtown, everybody had their buildings. We were in a small, building on one floor and one room and one corner, right? So where Hasbro and Mattel had their own buildings across the street. And the history of Toy Fair had been that you come out with your toy, all the retailers come by, they look at your toy, you take them into the back room like here.
Yeah.
You give them the paperwork, and then they write down their numbers, and then at the end of the 10-day show, you add up all your numbers, and you knew literally at the end of the Toy Fair whether you're going to have a good year or not for your corporation.
Wow.
Right? But by the time I got there in 1994, the buying had sort of gotten out of whack a little bit, so it wasn't quite synced up to February anymore.
Yeah.
And so it became more of a media event, and it started shifting more and more to a media event, and now I think a lot of socializing and still media, because everything out there, the big buyers have already bought it. We had to go and sell it to them a long time ago.
Yeah. But it's great, like you said, from a media standpoint, to get to have the opportunity to sit and talk with you. And I think the kind of the first order of business to talk about leading into Toy Fair was this news about DC. And I think a lot of people have questions, what that means for, the McFarlane Toys products that they love, from that property. So,
look, let me just start big with the name's Todd only rhymes with God, right? I don't get to actually sort of make all the choices on the planet, right? Wish I could, because I'd stop war the very next day. So when you're in business, you get sort of good sort of things come your way, and sometimes things don't quite go your way. And the only way to control any of that is to be in 100% control of it, which is why I own my own companies and I have my own characters, because there are corners of my life that I just go, I don't have to ask anybody's approval, I'm there, whatever else. Here's what I'll say, because there's still a lot of details to be ironed out, and we'll see how it goes. Is we're still doing it, we're going to be doing it till our contract runs out. It's not like people are acting like the contract's over this week.
No,
it's not true. We still got a long runway before it gets there, but in having conversations with Warner Brothers and even Mattel, and everybody wants the same goal, right? Nobody wants a disruption. Nobody wants to not deliver the plan that each one of the companies wants, and to deliver to the consumer, and in this case to the fan base, right? That's the goal that everybody's shooting for. Everybody's acknowledging it, and there's still things to be determined before anything sort of big happens. So again, it wouldn't have been my choice. It wouldn't have been my choice, but I've been in business long enough to know that you hit curveballs, right? And this is just a curveball, and we're gonna figure it out, right? Myself personally and my company, we're just survivors, right? We now, this is our 31st toy fair, and we have had ebbs and flows the whole way, and we're still here, right? We're like, it'll work, and we're gonna be in the DC business, like that's a guarantee. We're gonna be in the DC business. It's gonna alter, but we're gonna be in the DC business in some fashion, and that's sort of what we're debating right now. And when everybody has those details, will come out. So we're not going away.
Okay.
We're not going away.
Good. I think that works. And I mean, what we saw out there, there's a lot of really cool new DC stuff that you have.
Yep.
Figures that people have been wanting a long time. There's a really great looking Supergirl out there.
Yeah.
There's Jim Gordon finally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys in suits.
Yeah, that's it. The Supergirl looked really cool with their little wired cape.
Yeah.
Because you can simulate that cover art.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
From the Supergirl tomorrow. Yeah. So just fun. I mean, there's a lot of fun product we got out there with a bunch of different brands, including the DC multiverse.
Yeah. Justice League of America, Superman. So that bringing that Alex Ross to life.
Yeah.
That's
No.
really
Again,
cool.
whenever you can, for me, whenever we can sort of lean into the art of the print, right, which is sort of where I come from,
Yeah.
right? Given my time at both Marvel and DC, and now with Spawn, it's fun not only to be able to do things that are based on my own artwork and my own ideas, but to be able to actually look at my peers' artwork and what they've done, or some of the vets that I looked up to when I was a kid, and see if we can't can't do a 3D version of their artwork too, right?
Yeah.
Which is all that is. You're taking it from 2D to 3D, and then you're just trying to extrapolate it. And the fun of all that is, most people, and I found this with movie stars, that most people, like the movie stars, go, well, I can give away it used to be I could give away a DVD of my accomplishments to my friends and family. But you take the DVD and you just put it away, and a comic book is like that. But toys and statues, you can put those on your shelf.
Yeah.
And they're out all the time, right? And so I think that there's appreciation for sort of quote unquote toys, especially collectible stuff, that has grown massively in the last 15, 20 years. And even I've seen a shift with the talent, the celebrities, when we do things for TVs and movies and stuff, that where before they were like, I don't understand why we got to do this. They're now seeing that it's cool and it can be good, high quality stuff. I think before they had been doing bad toys for so long that I think the talent was like, whatever, they're going to do some bad version of me. What do I care?
Yeah.
And now that they see that not only our company but many others can nail it, they're like, oh man, that's kind of cool.
Well, I mean, something else that's interesting, and you said, across all these different art forms, I'm sure you're aware, but one of, like, the fun jokes in the community is, like, oh, the only company not making Ninja Turtles toys is McFarlane.
Oh, no, and that used to be, like, Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. And so I still haven't cracked the nut of Star Wars.
Well,
but,
you got the Turtles.
Yeah, we got the Turtles.
So tell us what we can kind of expect with these 5-inch IDW Turtles.
The source material is different than what I think most people have been used to buying in the last few decades, right? Most of it's usually branded on sort of animation or the sort of what I would call, and I don't mean this as a detriment, but sort of the cute version of it, right?
Okay.
The easily palatable stuff, and that's not all of it, but that's been the vast majority of it when it comes and goes. We're going to be leaning on the comic book side of it, literally from the inception of the book when it first came out in comic book form. Like
40 years ago.
Yeah, 85. Yeah.
They just had their 40th anniversary last year, so
right.
84.
Because I was going, okay, where was I at when I saw the first issue? And I go, yeah, that was 85. So that allows us now to go, we don't have to basically do that cute thing. We're not necessarily aiming it at like 5-year-old kids, although I'm sure people who like the brand will buy the brand. But we can, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we can do something, visually slightly different. Not dramatically, because it's still the Turtles, right? But something that's different based on the comic book art, not all the stuff that people have seen on TV and or movies. And I'm hoping that will give us an edge to put something out there that will appeal to fans of it that go, oh, man, I haven't seen that version before. That's cool, right? And leave it at that.
So when you think of the Turtles, is this kind of like when you close your eyes and think of them, is this the version that kind of comes to your mind first?
Yeah, I mean, when they came out in '85, I was just breaking into comic books at that point, right?
Yeah.
My career was just beginning. My first printed comic book, came out in '85, so I was just becoming a pro, and so that means I was an adult, and so I wasn't, collecting sort of cute stuff at that point, and so as time's gone by. And I just got my own company and my own work that I do. I haven't sort of paid attention to the trek of the Turtles out in entertainment.
Got it.
As a
Got
whole.
it. Got it.
The Turtles to me was the
That gritty black and white comic book.
The stuff
from the beginning,
the stuff that Peter was doing on it, and just going, okay. So that's it. I guess it depends on where the first time you ever sort of see anything. And so, my intro are those books that seem far away visually from what people think of now, especially moms and little kids, what they think of as turtles, right?
Yeah.
So that's the library we have, which to me is the exciting stuff, because there's a bunch of characters in there that have never made it into some of the other disciplines, and we'll just see if we can have a little bit of fun.
So I know one of the things that you like to talk about a lot, and something that we talked about in this room back in 2020 when you were first announcing the DC license, was like this what if concept of like, what if Todd McFarlane got another chance to design a Batman now? Is there a chance that maybe we get to see like the Todd McFarlane like version of the Turtles?
You know what? We should ask him, right? I should ask him, but fingers crossed. Maybe the answer is yes. But before we jump to that, there's so much there to mine.
Oh, yeah.
In the books.
And you got 40 years of comic
books. Oh, yeah. No. And again, it's not all equal and it's not all valid, whatever else. But when you have that big of a library to choose from, you get to literally pick. You get the pick of the litter. So you go, man, there's 200 characters. If we just did these 40 over here with this look, right? And even that one character might have been in 10 books. Mm-hmm. And then you get to go, no. Oh, there's the artist that did it right, in my mind, right? That's cool. That would make a good-looking toy.
Yeah.
And so I get to be sort of a bit of an art director on that, of picking and choosing.
Cool.
Like, right? Just like if you're going to do a Thor, probably been, hundreds and hundreds of different people put their version of it on paper. You're going to go do a toy of it, which one are we going to pick, right? And then not only if you find your artist that you like, then which image are you going to pick?
Yep.
If that
is
you're
it
going to
cover,
use,
is it a panel?
Use as your core sort of North Star as you're figuring out how to sculpt it and do whatever else. Yep.
So the other big announcement along with the Turtles was the new Mortal Kombat figures, the new classics with a K.
Yeah.
Classics with a K.
Yeah. Mortal Kombat classics.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that. What inspired you to go back to the 90s Mortal Kombat?
Okay, this is the. Sometimes there's the stuff there's super easy stuff out there, right? There's low hanging fruit out there, and sometimes when you do it, people go, "Oh my gosh, Todd!" Like, we've done Mortal Kombat before, and Mortal Kombat is a brand name. It's a strong brand name. Okay. Whenever you get your hooks into a brand name, why wouldn't you want to go to the beginning? As a matter of fact, when we got Mortal Kombat 11, like, again, you're asking, could we do any earlier stuff? Like, why not?
Yeah.
Why would you want to start at chapter 5 in a book So I know that there's like a big event happening in chapter 5, but can we do stuff in chapters 1 through 4, right?
Yeah.
So that people are reacting to the characters that were at the beginning of this brand that became a big phenomenon. Of course, right? There's I like it, there's times when I maybe go, okay, maybe we did something right, we deserve some credit, and then they're just like, duh, everybody would have done this, right?
Yeah.
We should have done it sooner, Todd. Like, what took you so long? So, yeah.
Well, it's good to see these back. I mean, it's been a while since there's been accessible Mortal Kombat figures, and Storm Collectibles did a great line for a while, but the price was very high on them. They were very hard to come by.
Yeah.
So it's cool. Unfortunately, I couldn't take any pictures of them yet.
No.
But
and the packaging's kind of fun, too,
it is.
right? We're just having a little bit of fun.
But, seeing that classic Raiden and Melina and of course Sub-Zero and Scorpion, everybody loves the Murder Ninjas.
Oh, yeah. Those two guys are gonna kill, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody, you get one, you got to have the other, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because otherwise, you don't have your first scrolling game in front of you. So.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
This segment is brought to you by our friends at Chubsy Wubsy Toys. A traditional mom-and-pop toy store in Little Falls, New Jersey, Chubsy Wubsy Toys brings you the best new toys from the brands you love without the hassle of pounding the pavement searching for them at larger retail stores. Visit them in person at their brand new home at 101 Newark Pompton Turnpike, Suite 1 in Little Falls, New Jersey, or online at chubsywubsy.com. That's CHUBZZYWUBZZY.com. And tell them Adventures in Collecting sent you.
And now, back to the show.
And the other thing that I wanted to ask about too was just what's next for the Spawn figures. I know a lot of people are getting there. I'm still waiting for mine, but getting the Medieval Spawn Kickstarters.
Which one did you order?
The 3-pack.
Wow, you're still waiting on that?
Yeah, it's still coming.
Oh man.
It's okay. I'm a patient person.
I'm gonna look. Why isn't it out?
But
I'll look for you. Why isn't it out?
I know a lot of people are excited for the new books, myself included. But what's going on with the figure line? Are there more Spawn figures in the works?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The one thing about the Spawn line, it's been around for 30 years, right? It's a character within the mythos of comic books now because of that time and the success of them, and because of all the books and the longevity. There's close to 3,000 characters that have now moved through these books. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Now again, that includes like doctors and lawyers and judges. So it's not they're not all worthy of something.
Correct.
But even if only a small fraction of the 3,000, then that gives a pretty deep pool. And then even within the pool, right, then there's like all these iterations of them as the costumes change and because they got symbiotes and stuff like that. So, it's hard for me to imagine I'm going to run out of ideas for the Spawn universe and the mythology and toys, given all the visuals that are there. The question is just, can we pick the right ones that are going to constantly give us success, right? And then the other thing is like doing different price points and sizes and whatever else, right? I mean, at some point, I'm going to figure out how long I can make a wired cape, and it's still work. And so you have the engineering of at some point it just weight is going to start to go down. But I in my mind I think the way to solve that is that you treat the cape a little bit like a tripod. And now I'm going to get geeky on you guys right here. But you treat it so that it's so much cape that you have to fold it over on itself. So right when it seems like it's getting too long, it's going to droop, you just bring another piece of the cape and hit the ground.
You got like support layers.
So it supports. Right. So you hit a couple of support, and then you go, okay, now what's the longest we can do on its own? And if you do a couple of trains and then add the last piece at the end, you might be able to get this really cool long thing that it creates this big illusion of like, oh man, it's this massive 40-foot cape or something.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
I mean, remind me once we're done recording. I'm going to show you a picture. I bought a custom cape from somewhere on eBay that I put on the Call of Duty Spawn.
Okay.
I gotta show you what it looks like.
Okay.
It looks really cool.
Yeah,
but I want to see too some more of these classic characters, like Sam and Twitch got a re-release, like a character like a Jason Wynn, in the with this new kind of articulation and everything, revisiting some of those classics from like the earlier days.
I think there's easily about 200 characters in the mythology that matter.
Yeah.
Right now, and so, and we haven't gotten into some of the cool ones, and again every day, like I just finished writing a book last night, and the cliffhanger is like again a new character, right? And you go, oh man, that guy, and the artist gave him a really cool costume, like oh man, that'd make a cool toy someday. But you have to also create characters that they want and they care about, so that when they see it, it's not just like, oh, they appeared on one panel or whatever. Oh, you can do it if that character that appeared for one panel or two panel just looks so good visually that you just go, I don't care if that guy's popular, I don't care where he came from, that's a good looking toy.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And so the proof in the pudding of that is our very first line of DC Multiverse toys. We did what I call the Batman in the armor and the Superman in the armor, and these were
Getting Unchained, right?
Right. These were two designs that had appeared. One I think had appeared in one page, 1.5 pages, and the other one had appeared in like one or two panels, not even a whole page.
Yeah.
But the look of it was cool, and I go, let's just make these, because it will just be, if you like Superman and Batman, the color's going to be there, you're going to recognize it very quickly, and you don't have to have any knowledge of that comic book. It's just going to be a good looking toy, and those sold.
Oh yeah.
Right? I mean, they came and they sold, and so in the toy industry, visualizing something new but still making the brand of whatever it is that you're doing. If you're a big fan of Thor, and you're gonna distort it, then it still has to be at first blush a little bit. Oh, that's a Thor, right? And then you can go off and do it. And so you can imagine, to some extent, as long as you have red and blue and a big S, you can do a lot of things with quote unquote Superman in that brand. And Batman, you can just you get dark colors, pointy ears, and you put a bat on the chest. You can do a lot of cool things with that too.
Well, you crammed that Malbolgia back in the day back into that little box. I'd love to see what you could do now.
Yeah, we should do our new updated Malbolgia.
You really should.
Yeah,
really should.
Cool.
Yeah, there are some monstrous villains that could really do are long overdue.
Yeah,
for,
you know what?
Redoing in the Spawn world.
I'm gonna walk out and I'm gonna go. Hey, we keep redoing all these old. Let's redo Malbolgia with the skill set that we have today.
Yes, please.
In the crouch, in that package, the same way we did before. Not in the big boxed item. Let's shove them in that damn package, and sell it so that it's as sort of goofy as it was when we first did it.
So we have a friend. He's also a toy maker.
Yep.
Shouts to he Dollar Slice Bootlegs. It's based out of California, and he has the largest single Malbolgia collection. He has over 150 loose Malbolgias, and he put them all up in like a display. And he just keeps buying Malbolgia over and over and over again.
Oh, I was going, does he custom paint them, or what does he do?
No, his goal, I think, is to get to 666 of them.
Oh, that's actually pretty good.
So
666, my 666 collection of the devil.
Yep.
That's not bad.
That's his plan. But he keeps adding to his collection, and every time we talk, I'm like, next time I talk to Todd, I promise I will bring you up and your amazing collection. But yeah, no, I would.
Okay, so everybody got one, and you go to eBay, double your price, because this guy's gonna overpay to get his collection going.
I'm sorry, John. I'm sorry. No, but Malbolgia would be a great addition to the modern collection. Yeah, I mean, the last thing I wanted to ask you, I wasn't sure if you had a chance to see it yet, but the team over at Hasbro, they put out a new Spider-Man based on the 90s art of yours truly. It's their maximum. They're calling it their maximum Marvel Legends line. It's like a new like sub line, some additional articulation. You can really get him bent into those crazy inhuman poses. But I wasn't sure if you had a chance to see it yet.
No, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They did a good job.
'Cause I know that years ago
paying tribute.
Yeah, I know years ago they tried to do one, and Spider-Man's always interesting because, and I've seen it with a lot of articulation because he doesn't look like Iron Man or something. Where you can hide a lot of the cuts, right? So you can put him into cool poses, but if he's not in like a cool pose, because there's so many cuts, you have to, it doesn't look cool to me, right? It's just like it looks sort of wonky. So it has to be in a cool pose to pull it off, because you're taking essentially a naked body that happens to be blue and red, and then you're cutting it all. Yeah, you're cutting it all up. And artistically, that's hard to do if you just have that person standing there, that character, that toy standing there.
Yeah.
Because you notice the articulation way too much then. Right?
Yeah, and I think you were saying it too out there, or with your statues, that like when you take the 2D contorted Spider-Man that you drew back in the 90s, and then you try to bring it into 3D, you're like, his leg goes where?
Yeah. Oh no, that was that. Yeah, no. That like Spider-Man, my contorted Spider-Man art was a bit of trouble to my sculptors because they're going, it doesn't make any sense. And it was like I've said many times that part of the reason that it worked was because I didn't worry about anatomy, right?
Yeah.
That seems like a bad thing, right? Because I go, what? Right? And I'm sure I got plenty of peers that like, I don't understand how that guy became so famous because he can't draw or shit. But it was, in my mind, it was the only way to get and do what I needed that look to feel like. So that when the first movie comes out and they try to do some of it, because at that point the Spider-Man art
the Sam Raimi movie.
Yeah. That they quickly found that they couldn't get a person anywhere close to the poses, even if you were double or triple jointed.
Oh my God.
Even if you went to the contortionist in Vegas, which they did. They did all this. They tried it, and they go, even still, they couldn't do it, which is why they ended up going like CG on it, right? Computer graphic, to go, okay, because we got to be able to like kind of break the spine to go into that pose. It looks super cool for that second.
Yeah.
Right? But you have to kind of break anatomy.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Well, headed into the rest of the year and headed into 2026, if there's one thing you want to get out there to, the McFarlane Toys fans, your fans, for the toys, what are we in for this year? What are we in for the rest of the year?
Wow, you know what? Wow, you're putting. I usually don't like just pick a winner and go, oh, that's it. That's the biggest. That's the best we're doing. Right? I take every license and I live within the rules that the people who give it to us present to us, and then the rules that the retailer may or may not impose on us. And then you just do the best you can within it, and then you do it again and again and again. And next thing you know, you're sitting here 31 years later after you started, and you're going, oh man, we're still surviving. Victory number one, big victory. That is the victory. And then two, we're still doing kind of cool toys, right? So the thing I'm always looking forward to is what else can we go and find and bring and show off so that we can then have year 32 and year 33. And we're survivors, right? Our company, we've gone up against the giants and we're still here. And we've gone up against people who sort of taken a page from the blueprint of what we do. And they compete with us. So I've got like the giants on the one side and then the competitors, the peers on the other side, and we're still relevant, right? And in any business, really the hardest thing to do is go, how do you maintain longevity? And then the next piece that makes the mountain even steeper, how do you be relevant within that time, right? And so if you take a look at something like the music industry, we can kind of count the number of people that have had 30-year careers that are relevant kind of on fingers, right?
Yeah.
The Rolling Stones are still around. Okay, Ozzy Osbourne's still there.
Yep.
Kiss is still there. And again, I'm not talking about, like, we can debate their music and their skill set. That's another conversation.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
They survived.
that they survived, and that they're still meaningful to a pretty large group of people today, right? And when you're living in industries where everybody is trying to get an edge over you, survival is the victory of it. To just go, wow, like decades and decades later, they're still making their music and putting people in seats at their shows. And maybe, Eric, because excuse me, I'm getting old, maybe, and I sort of run a couple of these and walk some of these steep mountains. I know how hard all that is now, and so when I see people that do it, I applaud them, and I try not to get hooked up in whether I like what they're doing. It's just that they picked an industry, they have a skill, and they've been able to do it and use it for decades, right? Like that they didn't age out like sports.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So you just, and you know, somebody like Robert De Niro or something like that, you go, hey, okay, whether he's your favorite actor or not, you just go, the guy's still getting a role, and he's 50 years later, and you go, okay, you know how many actors have died at the side of the road that couldn't even get 3-year careers, right? There's a lot of carcasses on your journey of people who tried and failed. And the thing is, you have to have success to get people inspired to want to do it themselves. So I knew at the very beginning, in 1994, when we started McFarlane Toy, that I was going to go down this different path, and we're going to sell cooler, hopefully cooler looking, more detailed toys to an older audience. But I also knew that it had to work.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it was like, wow, there's a guy who went on a fool's errand, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why success matters, and it matters to me, because then you can continue to do these examples to show people there are options, right?
Yep.
If you don't want to work at Marvel and DC, then there's this option called Image Comics, right? If you don't want to, work at big corporations, and you can start your own companies, right? You're never going to make as much as them. You're never going to be as big as them. But you get personal freedom to do and enjoy what you want. All right, and I'm 30, 40 years into my career, and I can't, I can't ever see having Spawn owned by somebody other than me.
Yeah.
Now, maybe I'll give it to my family, and they'll just go, we don't want anything to do with it after I die, and whatever. But the thing that's, when I look at like somebody like Disney, I'm going to use a really big example, or anybody, but let's just take a big example that I grew up with as a kid, Disney, and he creates this character called Mickey Mouse, and then he goes and it grows, and he builds this sort of empire, and then he passes away. But all that stuff that came out of his brain is still there.
Yeah.
Right? I call it creative children, because they should basically live past your lifetime. So for me, the goal would be not only to survive, but then even a week after my death, people still go, hey, Spawn's still coming out? Hey, when are we going to see the next Spawn? Like, they're not going to jump off the Spawn wagon because the guy who originally started it is human, right?
Yeah.
The brand is gonna, hopefully, fingers crossed, will continue way past my lifetime, and my ideas will live past me.
Here's to many more years of Spawn.
Oh no, I got decades still. Don't worry about me,
do it.
dude.
Let's do it.
I keep saying I'm halfway through my career. I got another 40 years. So yeah.
Well, thank you for taking the time. I know how busy you are. Yeah. I'm really glad that Tom Hardy didn't step in front of me again this time.
Oh no. And he was a gracious man, because he was cool. So
if we're gonna get cut off by anybody, I'm happy that it was Venom and Tom Hardy.
Yeah,
so thank you again so much for your time, Todd.
All right,
a pleasure, man.
Eric, appreciate it.
Take care. Thank you, dear listener, for hanging out with us today. Subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen, and then tell your friends to do it.
Thanks also to Joe Azari, the golden voice behind our intro. Our music is Game Boy Horror by the Zombie Dandies. Find more about them both on our show notes.
Follow us on social media at AIC_podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Stop by and say hi, show us your toy hauls, and share your toy stories. Maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode.
Don't try this at home. Void where prohibited and some assembly required. Each sold separately, not a flying toy. Consult a physician if your toy run exceeds more than 4 hours.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.